Privilege to introduce you to our guest. His name is Matthias Waterstone, and he's going to be sharing with us a story, a life story of his, where he felt that gave him a miracle when he literally was trying to run away from his problems, and God saved him. So, Matthias, good morning to you. Thank you so much for being here with us and joining us here on the Breakfast Show.
Good morning. Good morning.
Matthias, can you tell us first just a little bit about yourself? Where do you live? A little bit, perhaps, do you have a family? Perhaps your age, so we can suit ourselves.
Yeah, so I'm 19 years old. I'm currently a second year uni student. Family. I come from a family of 5, and yeah, I'm just enjoying that kind of life. Just coming off the end of my uni break now.
Okay, that's great. What kind of university course are you studying at the moment?
I'm studying nursing.
Nursing, well done. That's a beautiful career. And Matthias, can you tell us and help us understand how did God help you? What did God do to you that you felt like, wow, He was, God is being so good, so merciful to me? Can you tell us a little bit about what happened?
Yeah, I can. Bit of background around this story was that it was about 2 years ago from now. I was at a very low point in my life. I was just finishing year 12, coming off the high of, wow, I'm finished school and everything, and I had kind of a major hit of loss of purpose and a bit of depression. At the same time, I had a lot of relationship, like a really messy relationship I came out of. And to kind of top it all off, my dad got into a really bad motorcycle accident at the same time.
Wow, it felt like everything was happening.
Yeah.
At the same time, yeah. So you came out of a difficult, kind of a complicated relationship that had just terminated. You were struggling with depression because you felt that there was no purpose for you anymore. Yeah. And then on top of that, your father, whom you love, he just had this crazy, very bad
he was a
motorbike
rock in my
accident.
life.
So how did you, at first, did you blame God for all of these things?
I don't even think at that particular point I was blaming God. It's just, I was just so crushed by my circumstances. I didn't know where to look, what to think either.
Wow.
I was just numb.
So what happened then? Did anybody try to help you? Maybe your mom, your siblings, some of the friends, or do you felt that you were kind of on your own for that one?
The trouble was, at the time, a lot of our family were really affected by what happened to my dad, and they were really busy taking care of him. So back on the home front, I didn't have as much support personally. Obviously, you'd have things like people are asking you, how are you in things, and asking practical help, but there weren't many times where I saw that people were asking me how I was and then sat and kind of listened.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That definitely makes sense, particularly when you have someone, that was, as you mentioned, like your father was struggling to even, to recover from that, terrible accident, this motorbike accident. And so you felt that there was not a lot of support. So you're just kind of left to your own devices to try to figure out how to get out of that pit.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And when what happened there? What did you try to do to get away from that situation?
Well, initially I tried just to keep myself busy, but then it got worse and worse and worse, these feelings, as you would imagine. That I was getting emptier and emptier, until one day I went to the hospital to visit my dad when my mum was there quite a lot, and something in me just kind of snapped. And I heard in my head, how sometimes early in the show you're talking about voices and spirits.
Yeah.
I believe a spirit spoke to me and said, run. And I had no more inhibition in my head. So unfortunately, I listened to this voice.
Did you think it was a bad spirit, or was the spirit of God that said to you, run?
At the time, I would say I couldn't tell the difference, which was the dangerous thing.
Yes. So you're visiting your dad, and you hear this voice, this impression, very strong in your head, saying "run." What kind of running? Like, did you like run? Do you think that it was like a literal run, like to start like running around? It was like running as if going for a jog, or what kind of run? How did you interpret that message?
The run was kind of like escape, flee kind of run. Run as far as you can.
Wow. And this is what you decided to do? You decided to?
Yes, I definitely did.
So how did you do that? What happened right after that visit?
So straight after that visit, it was a Saturday afternoon that day. It was Sabbath. And I just had the thought, yeah, I'm going to go to the furthest place I can possibly think, hence the name Tarshish. I basically ran to Tarshish in a sense.
Wow.
I ran all the way to Japan as far as I could think of.
I mean, Japan, I mean, I could not think of many other places that so far, not only far removed,
from here.
Yes, geographically, but like culturally, linguistically, like so you ran to Japan, and how did you do that? Like, so you bought your tickets, you just went there.
Yeah.
Was that in the middle of your high school years, or were you already graduated from school? How did that
I was already graduated at that time, so I had a bit of money. I'd been working pretty much every day, part-time, and yeah, the million thoughts an hour, but this voice is still telling me run, go, and I listen.
So you went to Japan, and how did your parents react when you told them, or if you told them, hey, Dad, Mom, I'm going to Japan? Like, how did they react to that?
Well, my mom, unfortunately, was very, very, really mentally and emotionally taxed by the whole situation. So she was bearing the brunt of it. So she just kind of let me go because she couldn't stop me. But my dad, when he found out he was furious.
But how did you tell them? Like, did you tell them, or did they find out? How was it?
It was kind of a more find out because like I said, I basically just ran.
Wow.
That night.
Wow. So you left at the hospital. You're thinking about, hey, I want to get as far away from here as possible. Did you buy the tickets like on that same day, or?
Yep, that same day. And the next day I was off. Yep.
The next day you were off.
Yeah, I was gone.
Wow.
This was very, and it was very strange how it happened. I was just able to go and I went straight.
So you went to Japan, you arrive in Tokyo, I'm assuming, and
after a few days, I took a stopover to make it a tiny bit more cheap because I knew I didn't have that much money.
Oh, really? Okay. So you did a stopover, but finally you arrived in Japan. And once you were there, how did you feel? Like, did you feel like this is it? I'm at peace now. I have found my purpose. Is that what happened? Or tell us a little bit of what happened once you landed in Japan.
No, I would say it was actually quite the opposite. I was still not at rest. My adrenaline was still pumping. I was still running.
Wow. So what happened?
As soon as I got there, I had the thought to contact some of my friends because I had made some friends there. So just to kind of start afresh, have it in my head to kind of couch surf in a way, and just kind of run away from everything.
And did it work? So at what point you realized that, hey, this runaway tourism in Japan, it's not really serving me the purposes that I thought it would?
Yes, it was basically because this was, I believe, a Tuesday, and I'd just gone on this long journey, but I got there on the Tuesday. I was contacting friends and things, but I got no response from them. And I spent all day there, and I had my suitcase, my backpack with me, all I had with me, and I just realized that I'm alone.
Did you have money to like pay for like a hotel room or an accommodation?
Yeah, I had money, but not that much.
So the money was running out.
Support. Yes, that's right.
Money was running out. So is that anything that happened there that sort of clicked you again, or decided, you know what, I have to go back to Australia and just call that adventure short?
No, because at that time I was still afraid to go home because I was scared of the repercussions of, think kind of prodigal son as well, that I was like, oh, how will I be accepted back home? I've done such an outrageous thing and my family is less than pleased with me.
Wow. Okay, so tell me how did God interfere? Because it looks like it's a pretty desperate situation. I mean, you're in Japan,
Yes.
you're running out of money, you can't really go back home, but also I'm imagining that you're not very keen to sleep in the streets in Japan. And it's not
Oh,
probably
definitely
a,
not.
a smart thing to do. So how did God intervene in your situation?
So just when I was at my worst and breaking down, and I basically said to God, I just locked myself in a bathroom stall and I said, God, I give up. Because at this point I thought that there was so much confusion in my head, the voices. But as I was breaking down, I could just hear a voice that said, get up. Get up. I have one more place for you to go. And I was just shocked.
Wow.
Like, why? I've gone this far. I want to go home kind of at this point, but I'm scared. But God, this voice, still small voice, different to the rushed voice that I was hearing before, was now telling me that there was one more place to go.
Wow. And where was that place?
So apparently, this now very calm impression told me that I had to go to this church at the bottom of Japan, which is maybe about 6 hours away by train.
Wow. But how did how did this voice like tell you go to that particular church in that place? Was
It was more like an image in my head.
It was an image in your head, but have you heard about that church before? Did you had any sort of a previous encounters
No,
with it? It was just something completely. How did you find out what
completely
was the right
different.
church to go?
Well, it was because I was looking at churches in the area, and for some reason that church came up on my maps, and
Even
I
though it
was
was
like,
6 hours away.
it was 6 hours away. I had no idea why 6 hours away, but I knew this voice was definitely very different to the last one. And again, I didn't seem to have many other places to go or places to be at the time.
Okay, so you say, okay, God, you want me to go to this church? I'll
Yes.
go to this place, and so you took the train. I'm imagining a bus or something, and you found yourself there. And once you got there, what did you find at that church?
Well, I got there, and as I was on the train, I was reading a lot of the Bible and kind of reconnecting and praying. And I got this impression that I was going to get help from someone while I was there. That someone was going to help me out when I got there. And it happened just like that. So when I got to the church, I waited for a few hours, and I was calling my mom because I told her about this at this time, that I wasn't sure whether to come home, but I knew someone was going to help me. So what happened, I was on the phone with my mum, and just as I was kind of giving up on the whole fact that God sent me here at all, to this particular spot, and just as I was on the phone, the intern pastor of the church kind of popped his head around the corner. And then I did the whole, yeah, hang on, I'll get back to you. Someone seems to have just arrived. And he was able to help me out.
Wow! And how did he help you out? What did he do?
So, being a really confusing situation for everyone it was at the time, I was there with my suitcase, my bag, and he was there very, very confused as to why there's at the time, 18-year-old young man at his doorstep in Japan. He's from Australia. What's going on? And we didn't know much. I didn't know much Japanese, and he didn't know much English.
Wow.
So it was very much a case of figuring out needs. But even so, what touched me so much about that experience is that even though not knowing much about me or anything, he did that Christ-like thing of kind of feeding me when I was hungry. It was winter at the time in Japan, so he opened up the church and put on the heater and everything, and was just kind of explaining and trying to learn more about me and spend time, even though he didn't know me.
So he actually cared for you. He tried to understand what was going on.
Yeah.
And did he say or do something that enabled you to go back home now with a different perspective of things?
Yeah. Well, it was just his very practical approach to things, where my brain was going very emotional, very very spiritual in listening to these voices very often. He was asking very rational questions. Where are you from? How are you going? How did you get here? And is there anything I can do for you? Like to stay or something to eat? And it was really grounding for me.
Wow. So after that conversation, that's when, what happened then?
Yeah, and that's when my brain kind of kicked into gear, and it's like you said, I need to go home now.
Wow. Amazing. It's just like kind of, okay, God, it's almost like I think that from my interpretation here of hearing your story, Matthias, what really resonates with me is that the underlying question is you're asking, hey, God, are you there?
Yes.
Do you care? And God took you all the way to Japan to go to this complete stranger's doorstep for, by the direction of God, because, there's millions of people there that would probably not necessarily, help you out in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
But receiving that help from this stranger was God's way of saying, see, Matthias, I care for you. I'm leading your life. There is a purpose for you. You can go back now. You have found that which you were asking about.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Is that how you see it as well?
Definitely. Because I was there, I was tired, beyond tired at this point, running on adrenaline for almost 4 days straight now. It was really touching for someone to genuinely care, even though they don't know you very well.
Wow. That's amazing. And Matthias, so you go back home, and then once you arrived home, how were things with your parents?
Well, I got home, and like I said, I was very afraid going home. What's my dad going to say? He's going to say, you disown kind of thing. I'm having these very much prodigal son reminiscent thoughts of, will my dad accept me? So like the story goes, I'm going to the hospital. I finally make it home. It's a pretty long journey, longer journey going back than going there. I get to the hospital, and my dad, he just looks at me when I walk in through the door, in the hospital door. And he told everybody, because my whole family was there, he told everybody, don't say anything to Matthias when he comes. And to be honest, even though that seems a bit weird, when I walked through the door and nobody said anything, they all just kind of hugged me, and I was just really touched by that.
Wow. Amazing.
That they were just willing to accept me again.
Amazing. And Matthias, what was the takeaway, sort of some of the big lesson that you get from that personal story, or something that perhaps you can share with a young person that is also perhaps feeling, hey, maybe there's no purpose for me, maybe there's no one there who cares. What can you tell them from what you've learned from that experience?
Well, I can definitely say what I learned in terms of God will never leave you. And there's the Bible verse in Romans 8, verse 38 to 39 that says, for I am convinced that neither death nor life nor angels nor demons, neither the present nor the future nor any powers, neither height nor depth nor anything else in all creation will be able to separate us from the love of God that is in Christ Jesus our Lord. I can certainly see that was in my story. That even though I ran to the farthest reaches of the world that I knew of at the time, God still followed me and was there for me even in the confusion in my mind. And He provided for me.
Wow. That is amazing. Matthias, thank you so much for sharing that story. What an incredible story of God really coming up to you, and you learning also to discern what does the voice of God sound like, that sound of calmness and purpose and direction. And I'm so touched by that story. Thank you so much for sharing it with us, and all the best with you. I cannot wait to hear more stories from you another time that we get together.